Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we're talking about Merchants of Andromeda, designed by Rainer Knizia with art by Torben Bokemeyer and published by All Play Games. And I do apologize if I mispronounced any of those names. Additionally, thank you to All Play for sending me this copy so I can make this video, and I'll point out that they also sent me the expansion to it, though what I'm talking about today will not be addressing the expansion very much. And before I get started, please make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any mistakes in the rules overview, that is where you'll find the corrections. Now, with that said, what this game is this is very much a point salad and bidding style game with, well, a lot of different things going on, and hopefully it will make sense relatively soon. But to me, the thing that stands out the most is the auction aspect of this game. And so what we have here are a whole bunch of different regions that we will be dealing with on the board. And what you're not seeing is the deck of cards that is just off the screen here, which is what we'll be using every turn of the game to kind of figure out what it is that we're doing. And the goal of the game is to have the most money. And whoever has the most money at the end of the game will be the winner. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be drafting 3 cards each round on your turn and using those to make money. But of course, you got to spend money to make money. So the core of what's going to happen is on your turn, you will draft 3 cards from the top of the deck. And you get to choose if you're going to play them for a resource, if you're going to play them for an influence, or if you are going to auction it off completely. And so the way that would work is, let's say I chose to do them in this order, and actually I should not have this card in the game because it's for 4+, and as you can see I only have 3 different colors out there, so let me just pull that one out of there and put a new one out. There we go. And you'll be playing each one of these down one at a time, so you draw one, make your choice, draw one, make your choice, draw one, make your choice. So the way this would work is, if I had placed them like this, by placing the resource, I would gain one of these lava resources. And we'll just pretend that I am yellow. So I'd come over here, and I would move up my lava resource by 1. In the influence, you're going to get what is up here, and do this action. And so in this case, it has to do with the station right here. And so I would then get to place one of my influence tokens out onto the station, and I can place it in region 2 or 4, which is 2 and 4 here, and I could pick one and just place it out. We'll say I put it right here. And I'll also just point out, if you ever control both sides of the bridge there, you'll get paid $3. And then there is the auction. And whoever gets the auction will get the resource at the bottom, this little tesseract cube, and they'll get to do the influence action, which in this case would be the defense board. And so I'll talk right now about how the auctions work. So there is a way to do it without the app, but for this, I have the All Play app here. I go to Merchants of Andromeda, and I put the players that I have in. I have orange, yellow, and green, and I would start. And so what this is going to do, as I zoom in a bit here so we can see, and you can move these things around so it's easier for each player to put their fingers on them. But what you're going to do is, each player will put their fingers on their spot when they're ready to start, and I'll try to do that with just 3. And a little bit, there we go. It's hard to see. And it starts counting down. And at some point, somebody will lift their finger off when they want to buy that card. So in that case, yellow made the purchase, and I made that purchase for $10. Had I stopped when it had 11 seconds on there, I would buy it for $11. So then I would pay my money into the bank, and remember, these are your in-game win conditions, your money, so I'd pay that and I would get the card. And this card, as I said, would give me one more of these little tesseracts here, so I would move that up, and I could do the defense action. And the way the defense action works, now I'll talk about all these different boards, is you roll the dice, and you're going to pick 3 of them for the invaders to move down, and 2 of them where you will gain influence. So just for the sake of argument, we'll say that the 4 is going to come down, the 2 is going to come down, and the 5 is going to come down. And then I'm going to defend the 4 and the 1. So then I would have the 2 and the 4 and the 5 all come down. And then on the 4 and the 1, I would place my influence. And that would also get me a little popsicle there and a tesseract, which again, I'll come over here, move up my popsicles, and move up my tesseract. I'll also point out that every time your resources reach one of these columns, they're all on that column or pass, then you get to take another action and place one of your influence out of the space station. Then after that, you would pass this to the next player, clear these, and they would draw their own cards. Next we have these planets over here, and the way these work is you're able to do a push your luck tile flipping action. So I might come right over here and start out by flipping this one. And that's a crystal. Then I could keep going, and we'll say I'll flip this one right here. And that is one of these little relics, which are used for in-game scoring. You need to have sets of them. Now I have a choice. I could just take both of those, which would also allow me to put 2 more of my influence out, or I could keep pushing my luck. Maybe I decide, you know what, maybe I don't want crystals. I want something else, so I'll flip this one. So there now I have a choice. I could take any 2 of those 3. But maybe I'm like, nope, I'm still not happy, and I will keep going, and we'll flip this one right here. And I hit an alien. What the alien does is you get driven off the planet and you must stop right away, and then you can only take 1 of the items and leave 1 of your influence, like so. Then on a later turn, another player may come through, and this of course would give me a crystal, like so. Then on a later turn, another player could come by and they could do their own thing. Maybe they pop over here and they go 1 and 2, and they're going to decide that they want to take this little shrimp thing, and they also want to take this lava here. So they'll get their lava bonus, like so, and place those out, like so. And as you can see, there's 3 different planets that you can deal with. The next thing is up here. This is the voting, which will come up sometimes. And when you do a voting action, depending on the number of check marks that's next to the symbol, you'll get to cast votes for these 3 senators. And it's very simple. You simply take your vote and you drop it into one of the boxes. And when that scores, you see which one has the most votes. And for the most part, what they're going to do is they're going to change the scoring of these different regions for the next time they score, but sometimes they do other things, like this one here. It's a tax the rich. Whoever has the most money loses 6. Whoever has the next most money loses 4. And that's kind of how those are going to work. Now the other thing that'll happen is sometimes when you draw your card, you'll have one of these event cards. And what that's going to do is it's going to move this little dude up here, and something will happen. Once you get past the first event drawn, then you start having events. So for example, right here, everyone gets to cast a vote. However, if I come here, now we're going to score this track right here. And we're going to look at each of the different tracks, like so. And whoever is furthest up on each track is going to get paid out money. Though the track that has the most resources on it, that's going to score more than the track that has the fewest resources claimed on it. And first and second place will get paid out for those. Then we have more votes. Then we have score this region here. And this is going to, again, pay out based on who has the most influence in each of the different regions. And the regions that have the most influence in it will pay out more. Again, first and second place pay. Then we move to these here, and you'll see that there's 3 of these that are randomized at the beginning of the game, and you'll flip them over and they will do something different. In this case, everyone can either remove one of their influence from the board there, or they could pay $6 to place another influence there. And there's a whole bunch of those different things. We come here, then we score the voting, and we see which one of these 3 things becomes a new law, is going to be in the game. And the 2 that lose will actually pay out money depending on who has the most votes placed in those different vote boxes. Ballot boxes, I should say. Then these would clear, and 3 new ones would be placed out. When we come to scoring over here, we're going to see who has the most influence on each of the 3 planets. You'll see this one's worth 6 or 3, that one's worth 4 and 2, and that one is worth 2 and 1, depending on who has the most influence there. And then the relics that you collect is in-game scoring that you get obviously at the end of the game, depending on how many different relics that you have. Then we do more voting, then we're going to score over here. The way this one works is, 2 things are going to happen. First, you're going to check each of the columns, and if the column is completely filled with influence, and I didn't tell you earlier, but I should point out that if you ever place an influence on top of an alien ship, that player gets to take that ship, and a new one will pop out up top, and that's going to matter when you score, which we're talking about right now. Then you will look at each column, and if the column is totally filled all the way up to here, then you pay out 6 or 3, depending on who has the most and second most influence in the column. If it's not filled, it pays out 2 or 1. Then after that, you see who has destroyed the most enemy ships. Whoever's destroyed the most ships will get paid $4, and whoever destroyed the fewest ships will have to pay $2 to the bank. And you'll simply keep going all the way through the deck, and at the end you will have reached here. You'll score all of the regions one more time, you'll score this bonus right here, and then whoever has the most money will win the game. And that's how this game works. So what do I like about this game? I'm going to start out as in my brain, like to pretend that I do with art and production, but I know I don't always do that, but hey, don't judge. And starting out with the art, I like it. There's a lot of it. The boards are busy, but there are some really fun things kind of baked into the art when you stop and look at it. I think it's attractive, it looks good. I like the art. Also, the rest of the production is pretty darn good. You have those cool little ballot boxes that you do have to take them apart to put them back in the box, but they just kind of fold out and collapse. It's really easy. I've done it, I don't know, well, a lot of times now because I was sitting there playing with it to see if it would get messed up, and they seem like they're going to last for a long time. The dice are really nice, and all the cardboard chits, they're pretty thick, so can't really complain there. The next thing that I'm going to say is there is a ton in this box. It is packed full. There's no insert, and there's a good thing there's no insert because you're not going to get anything in there if you try to put an insert. It is just jam-packed with stuff. And for a small box that is not very expensive, that's fantastic. I love that so very much. Next thing I'll say is, to me, the main part about this game is the choosing of your cards and which one you're going to play and which spot, and then the auction. It's fun. It is really fun, and I really appreciate that you have to pick what's going to be what as you draw each one. You don't get all of them and then get to decide. Nope, you have to make your choices, and you got to live with those choices as you go through, and I really enjoy that. I also really like the way the auction works. It's fun, and I know that you can do it without the app. It tells you in the rules how to do it without the app. But it's really, really great. I love the way that works. First person to pull their finger off, you're going to have to pay. You have to pay whatever the number of seconds left is what you have to pay. And that's really fun because there is something really satisfying about everyone having their finger there. And you're kind of looking around and like, oh gosh, I want to wait till it gets down to 9, but ooh, it looks like he might pick up his finger. It's a weird thing. And I cannot really explain to you what that is like, but you just have to trust me. Using that app is a lot of fun. Also, a quick shout out to the way Allplay does their app. It's just one app, and you just kind of pick which thing you're going to use in that app. I really like the way that works. And some of you may disagree with me on that, but I like the way that it's all in one spot. I don't have to have a folder of different apps for the different games. Really like the way that works. Next thing I'll say is, each of the different planets or areas is its own fun little minigame. And they're all very simple. It's very Mario Party-like, where all these games are simple, there's not much going on. The most complicated one is probably the defense, and whatever. Things are coming down and going up, and there's 2 things that score every time. Ooh. They're all very, very simple, and I enjoy that. I enjoy kind of mucking about with the different things and kind of trying to spread out here and then get a little bit over here so I can grab a couple points here and there. Really, really fun, really satisfying. Next thing I'll say is I like that there's those 3 spots on the scoring event track that are going to be randomized. And I will also call out that the expansion, what that adds in are some secret auction kind of events that happen and a few more senators and stuff. But I really like how there's something different every time. Sometimes it'll be bad. Usually they're good in some way, but sometimes they're bad, and they all, or at least almost all of them, have a choice. For example, one of the negative ones is you can take one of your influence off the space station. Or you can pay $8 or something like that to put another one out there. So hard choices you have to make as you're going through. It's neat the way you're able to see what is going to score when, so you can really try to track what you need to be working on. Because I may know that, oh, well, we just scored production. Production's not going to score till another 6 event cards are pulled. So I have time to not worry about that at the moment. And it's really, really satisfying the way that that works. So all around, I really do enjoy that. And the last thing I'll say is, and I'm going to talk about this in just a moment, it is pretty easy to get people up to speed and get them playing. The times that I've played, people had to be taught, and it took about 90 minutes to teach and play. And what that tells me is, once I'm playing with people who have all played it before, this is going to be a really fast game. And I think once this game gets really going fast, I'm really, really going to enjoy it then. But that brings me into what are my quibbles with the game. Even though it is a simple game, because there's all the different mini games going on, it's a little bit harder to teach than you think it would be. And there's a very good player aid that kind of tells you what everything does, but it's just so many different things going on. It takes a little bit for you to really understand. And then there's the moments, oh wait, how's this minigame work again? Wait, did they come down first? Do I go up first? And there's just a few little things in there that can make it a little bit harder to learn than you think it's going to be. Though again, as I've said, every time I played, 90 minutes teaching and playing. So there you have that. Next thing is, and probably what is the most important to people, is this game is a point salad. Super point salad. And either you're into that or you're not. Also, you're either into it or you're not into the idea that you are spending your points. You are constantly throwing away your points for these auctions so you can get things that you need. And I enjoy that. One of my favorite Euro games is Lunar Rush, which is all about spending your points to make more points. But if you're not into that and you're super conservative, then you're not going to ever do well if you're not willing to blow a bunch of money on these auctions for something that maybe down the line will get you more points. The next thing that I'll say is the voting. It's so easy to forget how you have voted. Like, it is so easy because it might be 15 minutes in between votes, and the situation changes so much in that time, which I think is kind of fun. But at some point, you've voted for something like, this is really important to me right now, but then the entire situation has changed because someone else has gotten a bunch of influence on this planet, and now you don't really care about that planet. Now you don't want that planet to have better scoring, so you're going to shift to something else. And the whole time, like, what did I vote for? And then you reveal, I'm like, I voted for that? Why did I do that? So, again, I find it funny and entertaining, but again, you might not enjoy that. And so the last thing that I'm going to say is, well, I guess the last two things I'm going to say is, you need at least 3 players to play. And that's actually made it a little bit harder for me to get to the table. And it sounds strange, so you just need 3 players, but this is not an easy game to get to the table because you got to have at least 3. And quite frankly, I think it's at its best when you have at least 4 players. So it's a little bit harder to get to the table, but at the same time, this is not a game that is an event game. You're not going to say, hey everybody, come over to my house, we're going to play Merchants of Andromeda all day. No, you're not going to do that. Now, it just so happened that I had a bunch of people that were over at my house to celebrate my birthday this weekend, and we played a whole bunch of games, and towards the end of the night, I was like, you know what, there's 4 of us, let's play this one right here. So, it's there, but it's not as easy to the table as I thought it would be. I think this is one that's actually going to do very well at cons, be a great game to take to cons. In fact, I'm doing Kubla Khan Fall coming up, I'm going to take it there, play it there. But in any event, it's not as easy as you think it is to get to the table, and because it's not very deep, it is the same arc every time. It's like playing Mario Party. It's fun, but you're doing the same kind of little mini games the whole time. It just might not be what you're looking for, and I just want to make sure you understand this is not a deep game. I think it's actually a very fun game, but just understand that. So there you have it, folks. That is Merchants of Andromeda. As you can tell, I really like this game, and I'm sad it's hard for me to get it to the table, or harder than I would like it to be to get to the table, but I think this might be the best all-play game that I have played. Period. It's really, really a good time. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm thrilled that they sent it, so thank you to AllPlay for doing that. So, as always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get that in the Klingon subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.